Hi there, welcome back with some more review on Clutch Gaming. So the Saturday's game came out yesterday. A little late today, we're getting out the game against Counterlogic Gaming on Sunday. So this game was a win for Clutch, leaving Clutch tied for 7th, I believe. And with still somehow a fighting hope of going for playoffs, even though we do see Clutch. They are going to be playing Golden Guardians, Liquid, Cloud9, and TSI. So yeah. So up against the three top candidates of the league and then a middle of the pack team, it's definitely reasonable to say that Clutch can beat this middle of the pack team. They're only 1 point ahead. I believe they beat Clutch the last time, but that doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot, as that was several weeks ago. So the real question is, can Clutch beat any of these teams, and how many points will a team actually need to stay in 6th place or above? And given the fact that the standings actually have a couple teams really low, as well as a couple teams that are obnoxiously high, then this year could be a little odd and out of the normal. So I haven't looked at everyone's possible paths or everyone's possible walks to the final states that are available in the LCS standings for just the 4 games for each team that's left. But I do believe that if Clutch is to win 4 games in a row, they are locked into playoffs. Looking at what I see now, but if they won 3 out of the 4 games, then we probably would not see that, because we are probably going to see some of these lower or middle of the pack teams pick up some wins on the lower end teams, or possibly pick off some wins on the higher end teams if they have any games. So the number and the minimum for 6th place is definitely going to go up consistently over the next 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and get into this CG win. First, we'll start with draft. What is different here? Let's see. Cassiopeia, that's pretty standard. We've talked about that. Jace, we've definitely talked about that. And I actually talked about Nico yesterday. Yeah, in yesterday's video. And what Nico's like on patch 9.4 and pre hotfix, since she recently got hotfixed. Clutch actually taking out Yorick, Victor, and Lucian. So the Yorick ban is actually really interesting, mostly because it's possible that Clutch intends on picking something in top even before the draft starts that they know Yorick would be really good into, and knowing that Clutch has blue side, it could be a possible behavior that Counterlogic Gaming uses last pick to pick top for Darshan. I don't watch all of Counterlogic Gaming's games or drafts, so I'm not exactly sure, but if it's a habit of Counterlogic Gaming to go ahead and pick last pick top, then it is a good idea if you think that it's important to go ahead and take out a counter to one of your possible picks. Or to the pick that you actually really want. The Victor might also be a top pick, but it does take it away from Power of Evil if Power of Evil plays that champion. I'm not really sure how popular Victor mid is right now. I don't believe it is. So very, very interesting bans coming out from Clutch. Definitely did their homework this game on what they need to ban in order to pick what they want. So they did pick out possibly two bans for the top pick that they were going to play this game, and then they actually waited to pick top pick till 2nd rotation when they were actually able to ban 2 more champions that could be going to top. So I already see a good plan straight from the beginning coming for Clutch. Clutch go ahead and they take out Alistar first. So Alistar goes to Vulcan. This is very standard for a blue side draft from Clutch Gaming. Ashe, Tahm Kench goes to Counterlogic Gaming. So this is extremely interesting. Ashe is immobile. She has a lot higher late game damage than most people would realize. So you would consider as a pretty high DPS ADC, and with a lot of Baron damage as well. And she brings out a lot of utility in her ultimate, as well as the vision that she's able to carry. The Tahm Kench pick allows for a lot of safety to be given to the Ashe, and allows for some quick rotations. The Tahm Kench pick is a little bit abusable, but Tahm Kench is also extremely good into Alistar. So Alistar probably won't find a whole lot of success in the bottom lane, but he could find success in other places, at least from just these 3 picks, just looking at them so far. Clutch Gaming go ahead and they pick up Aurelia. So we already know that Aurelia is probably going to Piglet, even if we were Counter Logic Gaming, we could assume that Aurelia is going to Piglet. Especially after you see this Lissandra pick, since they are picked at the same time. Looking at that, you'd say, well, Aurelia could be flex top, but it probably isn't going to be flex top, and this actually incentivizes Counter Logic Gaming to say, well, we don't believe that they'll put Aurelia top, but we'll force them to make a decision before we actually pick our top laner, because we've already picked bottom lane, so there's nothing to change there. So Counter Logic Gaming go ahead and they take Syndra into Lissandra, which I find extremely strange. I would not. I'd have to ask someone about this. I don't think that Lissandra is a bad pick into Syndra, and I don't think Syndra is a bad pick into Lissandra, but I would definitely say that Syndra does not do anything useful in that matchup, at least not in the mid lane. So what I mean by that is that Syndra she's not going to get the push unless she gets a really early lead for no reason. And she's not really going to win a 1v1 because Lissandra's going to bring out more sustain damage with the Q, at least early, and then Lissandra's actually going to be able to ult herself when Syndra ults Lissandra, or Lissandra is just going to be able to ult Syndra at some point if Lissandra's ahead and just one-shot her, or at least come close to it. So I don't really see the Syndra pick working here, but it's possible that Counter Logic Gaming has a plan for it. They go ahead and they split bans. They put a ban onto Rise, which I find really strange. I have no idea why they'd ban Rise. Like, is it possible that Lissandra could go top? Sure, let's say sure. But I don't really like that. I think it's a waste. Sejuani ban? Sejuani's always a good ban. Fuck that champion. Kennen and Jax come out as bans from Clutch Gaming, so I already mentioned that earlier, that if they have any tensions on picking a top champion in which Kennen and Jax are good into, then they might as well just ban Kennen and Jax, especially if they know that what they plan on picking is not really high priority and probably won't be banned. And if it's not exactly clear that their bans are trying to force that pick anyway. Counter Logic Gaming pick Zac. So this is odd. You generally do not blind pick Zac, and Zac isn't particularly horrible into Sejuani either. Sejuani can stop Zac with her Q, but it's not very easy for her. So I don't know. I don't know what the idea is behind this pick. This is definitely something that they want to take to scale. They want to take it to also provide a lot of early pressure in terms of, like, once Zac's level 5, he has 3 points in E, he can gank from pretty ridiculous areas. And his counter ganking ends up being extremely strong. But I don't see this particularly synergizing with anything else on his team, except maybe the Ashe ult. And I don't think it's very good into Alistar. It's probably not very good into Lissandra either. So I think this is strange. I think this is really strange. I don't know who called this pick. I don't think it's right. But that doesn't mean it can't work. But you still, most people wouldn't blind pick Zach. Jarvan and Rumble round out Clutch Gaming's draft. So this looks pretty clear. Jarvan's going to go to the jungle. Rumble's going to go top. You're going to see Piglet yet again on Aurelia. People keep giving him this pick. And you see Devontae on Lissandra. So I like Devontae on Lissandra. So, and I like Piglet on Aurelia. I like Vulcan on Alistar. And I haven't seen a great performance of Huni on Rumble, but I'm willing to sit through it again. So I do enjoy the style of comp that Clutch is going for. And then CLG goes ahead and they pick Aatrox as a response to Rumble. So that's fine. Aatrox is definitely going to just say, okay, well, I'm going to farm this lane. I don't necessarily need to be in melee range to farm minions, and I can just sustain it out. Okay. So what's each team doing? So you know Rumble's gonna push. Maybe not like level 1 or level 2, but Aatrox can't really make a whole lot of aggressive plays on the Rumble unless Aatrox gets the opening of the E. And if Huni lets him get the opening of the E, then he probably deserves to lose the lane. Lissandra's gonna push into Syndra, and then because of Tom Kench, Ashe doesn't really have a whole lot of push, so you actually are going to see 3 pushing lanes from the side of Clutch. And when you see 3 pushing lanes from the side of Clutch with Lyra on someone who's able to not just gank efficiently, but dive, then you're going to see Lyra actually panning out towards side lanes. And what's really nice about this is we actually like Lyra being able to pan out towards side lanes. And we also like it when Demonte's on something where if he is able to take pressure in mid lane, then he can actually roam towards the side lane as well and help Lyra. He ends up being a support for Lyra. And this is, I mean, I call it a roaming unit. When you have 2 champions that particularly roam together, such as if they were going to play for mid lane in this game, the roaming unit would actually be Alistar and Jarvan, and Alistar would be consistently in the bottom side river. They would consistently play strong side bottom side, and Alistar would always be moving mid with Lissandra, and that's not actually something they can't do. They might do it once or twice in this game, but I really wouldn't leave Aurelia alone forever. Because if Zac comes, they have Ashel, like they could probably kill her. If she's all alone, she doesn't have anything else to do. So Counter Logic Gaming says, okay, well, we're getting pushed in a lot. We have some late game scaling, a really strong mid game mage, and then some late game scaling. That's like utility based, and lots of tanks. Big tank and protection. I don't really like this. I mean, like, they do have engage. They have some wave clear. They have a decent 4-1. They have... Their team fight's okay. Aatrox is really good in mid-game team fights. Ashe is really good to engage mid-game team fights, and Syndra, if she's not behind, can usually do a whole lot of damage to just one person in a mid-game team fight. Since it's before she hits any of her power spikes with her abilities. Around Dragon Fight, she can usually blow someone up with her level 6 ultimate. So this looks like a much harder to pull off, but not impossible team comp from Counter Logic Gaming that does scale quite a bit. but I don't really agree with the picks. But I wouldn't say that it's impossible for them to win. That's a long shot. This isn't a draft from Counter Logic where like they're going to just insta lose. But it is a draft that I wouldn't put myself unless I thought we were really confident with the style that we were going for, which I find a little strange. Does Weldon say anything about this draft? Like, I mean, I could message Weldon on Discord, but like.
We saw Moon and Otto come in this weekend. Why were they the pair for these games?
Well, we've been training with them all week, and we just made that decision based a little bit on the champion pools and just how productive training has been on both squads, with all 4 people kind of like sitting down to improve their leadership and their shot calling. And so since we've been training with them all week, we have stuff that we think will work really well into GS and Clutch.
What do you think they add as a duo to this team?
Definitely Osama's a big talker, and Otto is a big talker, and so he does a lot more shot calling from the AD role. And Moon is just a really big planner. He likes to have very planned out games, and he's really good at communicating that.
Well, thank you, and best of luck to you and the team. Next.
Okay, so that didn't tell me anything. Yeah, I mean, I could message Weldon. I probably won't because I won't bother him, but I'd like to know more about what he thinks about this draft, or like what the thought process was. So you see both teams getting some river vision. Zombie Poro coming out from CLG even. Scuttle vision from, I believe that was Piglet's ward. And then Wraith's vision from Lissandra. So this is all really interesting. Zach going from a blue to red start. Then you also see Jarvan going to Golems after red. And onto bottom scuttle. I think he might be going immediately for top scuttle. Yep, he's going for a double scuttle. So this is really easy for him because he knows that Zach can't really do anything that's aggressive. In fact, it's even possible that if Demonte, like I don't know what Demonte did in this lane to take so much damage. Did he take an extended trade with Aftershock? That was strange. Okay, so if Demonte didn't just like take a full combo from Power of Evil, then Lyra would actually be taking this away. Like he would smite away the big Wraith or something from Moon and probably jump out. Because they don't have enough damage together to actually perform something, and they can't really jump onto Jarvan because he can EQ away. And they don't have anything to stick onto him if they don't hit all of their CC. It's not very reliable to hit all of their CC. So Lyra just getting more vision, just checking to make sure that Zach went ahead and he cleared everything already before he goes to clear his own jungle, because he wants to look for any opportunities that he's had. He probably considered going mid lane onto Syndra since Lissandra backed and teleported. But Syndra's not too far pushed, and they don't have that much damage yet. I don't even know if they would be able to force Power of Evil's flash, because Power of Evil would probably be planning to back after this wave anyway. He'd probably just sit in a tower and wait until he was able to back. Demonte's taking a lot of Qs. Demonte used his E to wave clear. What the fuck? Alright, this doesn't make any sense. Alright, here, if you want an example of what not to do, that is what not to do. You do not use Claw to wave clear, even if you're about to leave. Zach is waiting in the wings, he gets to punish. This is irresponsible. Like, this is the kind of stuff that Demonte's been doing all split. So like, I shouldn't be surprised, but it still bothers me. Wow, that is actually depressing. Okay, so Jarvan is actually waiting to see if Lyra comes bot. So, or not, if Moon comes bot. So this is interesting. So Lyra's actually keeping track of Moon. Because Lyra checked Moon's topside jungle, he knows that he went from blue immediately to top because he knows that he took his golems and his red, and he was on his wraith earlier is when he last saw him. So he knows that Moon actually went towards bottom side, and that he would have cleared bottom side before he ganked mid, because he was level 4 when he ganked mid, but he was only level 3 when he was taking wraiths. So very interesting assumption that Lyra's made. And Lyra says, okay, well, if none of his camps are coming up, because he actually went blue-red, meaning that Zach's camps are going to take a long time to come up, because the first camp that's going to come up is his top camp, that after he goes mid, he's not going to have anything to do on the map besides two things. One, clear and place vision, or two, try and do something bot. So he actually sees that Moon ends up going bot, discourages him from going in where he wanted to go. So Moon would have gone in here, right immediately onto Vulcan and Piglet. But Lyra actually pushes him off and lets Piglet and Vulcan play the lane the way that they want to. They unfortunately aren't able to finish off Tahm Kench, which would have changed a whole lot here. It would have been really big for Piglet to pick up that kill. But they do send in a huge crashing wave that Ashe will not be getting, which will make the lane extremely hard for Auto to play. So very good assumption from Lyra. This was actually really amazing, because he'd been tracking Moon for a long time now, just to abuse him. So he should know that Moon's on his top side right now, because of all the vision that he just got down there after the bot play was made. And he's going to be continuing to track Lyra for the next, or not Lyra, Moon for the next, I don't know, minute and a half, 2 minutes, with very good accuracy. So he knows that Moon's actually going to back, and that he's going to go topside towards his golems in red. I'm surprised that Jarvan didn't go ahead and take those golems since he knew they were up. But it does look like he might actually go for that red with Rumble. And he will. So this is a really good abuse from Lyra. So like Lyra's on the early game pick, he can abuse a lot easier. Moon is on the pick that, like, Zach does not farm fast. Zach is generally abusable early because his damage is really low. He's not tanky yet. There's just not a whole lot he can do. He doesn't have a lot of aggressive options. Wow, they just took Auto's flash for free. That's pretty insane. So Lyra gets to do what he wants, and as long as he keeps track of Moon, then nothing's really a problem. Let me see how that happened there. That's strange. Had Lyra cleared his blue earlier, he wouldn't get it stolen. But they might have to roam Demonte to get the blue, and then roam Rumble down. But Rumble already has the push in his lane. This is actually really dangerous from CLG. Like they don't have vision control of the river. And had they actually were supposed to have been there. It does look like from the pings that CG do know that they went for the blue invade. And had they responded faster with the push in top and with Jarvan nearby, the only resource that they lack is Lissandra ult, which is pretty important, but with Rumble ult and Jarvan ult, it's pretty easy to force Power of Evil's flash and still end up getting a whole lot of damage on him. If Power of Evil has to flash the Jarvan ult, and once he doesn't have flash, he can get ulted by Rumble in one of these small corridors. He's basically insta-dead, because then he can get jumped on again by Lissandra and picked off. And once Zac doesn't have Lissandra near him, there's nothing else that he can do. And Lissandra doesn't really need to worry about being like one-tapped by Syndra at this point, because he went Merc Treads early. So I think that CG could have collapsed on this if they knew it was happening. And they would lose the wave mid, but I think it would be a fine trade to keep Zac behind and not let Power of Evil have the blue buff that he wanted. So you actually don't see a whole lot happening in bot. Piglet and Vulcan give up the push sometimes just to make sure that they aren't being ultimately pressured. And they can't engage very well, because engaging with Alistar against Tahm Kench is, one, really hard. You have to focus Tahm Kench. And at this point in the game, he's already really squishy and he has stopwatch. So it makes the fight actually really complicated for bottom lane. And on top of that, if you pack an Ashe ult in there, even though they have the summoner's advantage, it's really hard to get on top of Ashe. So CG decided to play topside, and they roam Alistar up. Let's see what they do here. They roam Alistar up, and they say, okay, we're going to take the free Rift Herald because we know that we're pushing mid lane, and we don't necessarily have tempo in mid lane besides the push, but we do have soft tempo in the top lane. Aatrox is not yet to become useful, and if we move Alistar up early, it's pretty hard for the enemy to respond. So, okay. Lissandra's on a back, but she is on a teleport, so the teleport comes in early. And Moon gets taken down really fast. Mooney's actually able to take out Darshan by himself. Darshan lives with his ultimate. The flash from Moon gets taken. I'm trying to figure out like what CLG's doing. That's actually like the real question here is what is CLG doing? So I think CLG finds this Rift Herald really important, which is why they roamed Ashe up for it. But by the time Moon dies, loses his passive, there was actually like no value. So let's check out the dominated strategy. Right? Let's check out the dominant strategy. I believe it's a weekly dominant strategy that Clutch Gaming has against CLG. So Clutch Gaming they have the push in bot and they have Aurelia bot. And they have they can force the Rift Herald. And in order for CLG to think that, or in order for CLG really to have any chance at stopping the Rift Herald, they have to have 5 members. And the point of stopping the Rift Herald is to delay it so that the Rift Herald does actually not give CG extra turret plating, because that's what you're trying to stop. Because the turret plating is 160 gold each, and you're gonna get like 2.5 or 3 of them. So you're looking at 480 gold, just from popping Rift Herald in a lane right now. And if you consider that CLG has to send all of their members in order to stop it, you also are reminded that Aurelia is split pushing with a Sheen, and she's going to be getting turret plating at the same time by herself, so all of that gold actually gets netted into Piglet. So I think he got 2 there. And they were able to rotate down and prevent him from getting another one. But then CG actually just rotate back onto Rift Herald, keep the push top, and they're able to get the Rift Herald anyway. So what did CLG do wrong? CLG should have just never contested the Rift Herald in the first place because there's no point. Lyra has a minute and a half to place this Rift Herald in mid or bot, or mid or top. Get 2 to 3 turret plating extra on top of the 2 turret plating that Aurelia just got, or he can leave the Rift Herald bot and just give Aurelia first blood tower gold if he were to so desire. Wherever he desires to put it, he just wants to maximize gold intake on one of the carries, but it's probably going to be with Rumble or Aurelia. I wouldn't really expect to try and feed all that gold to Demonte because I don't think that it's that useful to feed Lissandra that much gold. She doesn't scale as well into the mid game. She's more of a utility mage. She's not really a damage mage. Actually, a lot of Lissandra's damage comes from her passive nowadays. But on a Rumble, that could be incredibly impactful. Is he gonna use the Rift Herald? Alright, I think Lyra should have used the Rift Herald. This is kind of silly. You shouldn't get a Rift Herald pre-14 minutes and then not use it. Like, they got the last turret plating on bot just from, like, pressuring. But, like, imagine if he placed that Rift Herald mid and Demonte just moved forward and then he moved through river towards bot. Like, what is the enemy team going to do? They're going to say, okay, well, Moon might have to go help stop that Rift Herald, or he can go bot and prevent bot from losing first blood tower. Then CLG's in a strictly dominant, at the rough end of the stick of a strictly dominant strategy. Like, CLG has no good moves. So I think that would have been a much better idea if he was strict on time. He does end up giving first blood tower gold to Lissandra anyway, so... Because, I mean, he could have played strictly for top if he really wanted to, and he would have went top there, and bot would have given up the push. They would have let Ashe and Tom Kench have the push so that Zach can't actually abuse them. It's really hard to dive Aurelia and Alistar. Like, you're not going to have any success doing that. Not unless you get a big engage on Aurelia beforehand. Which they do here. That's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate Ashe arrow. Yeah, Piglet only had half health once he got under his tower even. That was well done by CLJ. But anyway, before I move on to the next play. Yeah, like you could have gone and given that gold to Rumble, because like what is Aatrox gonna do? Try and 1v2? Not gonna happen. Even the 2v2 they're gonna get actually mega wrecked. Or if he just sticks the Herald bot and then they engage with the Herald on the tower, if CLG's dumb enough to try and fight that under their tower with the Rift Herald there, then you're just going to take the Rift Herald to the second turret. You're going to win the fight and take the Rift Herald further. And CLG definitely doesn't want that. So I find this strangely odd. And like this is where CG like really needs to optimize in terms of macro. Like they can force their enemy into dominant strategies. They just don't even know what a dominant strategy is. And I think that's really sad because dominant strategies are everywhere in macro, and like you're always trying to put the enemy in a bad position. But this is something that like some of the lower tier NALCS teams are just incapable of. That was pretty funny. Okay. So what do we see next? Like, what do we see next from this game? Well, we see that now that all the outer towers are down from CG, we see that they're stuck, moving in between inner corridors. And CG actually has to choose a side of the map to play on. And then they make a 1-3-1. And they can make the 1-3-1 with a couple different champions. So you see Lissandra in the mid here, forming the 3. And they have the best wave clear if the enemy decides to pull the 1-4, like they are now. So Lissandra actually is the cleanest wave clear and can prevent the mid tower from being taken. So Aurelia goes into the side lane, because Aurelia is fine in a side lane. Or you could see Aurelia in the mid, you could see Lissandra in a side lane, because Lissandra has the teleport if they want to try and pressure Baron, or they could even flip-flop it. They could put Lissandra top, and they could put Lissandra or Aurelia top and play in the top side of the map, and then use the teleport from Huni and put Huni bot. And that would actually cause a lot of pressure on the Baron as well. So really Clutch's next move is trying to get vision in these corridors. And if they get vision in those corridors, and they can control it, they can keep CLG away from the Baron pit until the point where CLG is forced to make a move that they don't want to in areas that they don't have vision. So here it is. Here's actually the setup. That's not bad. You see the Ashe come out, so that's actually what Ashe is useful for. It's really good at that. And then you see Power of Evil actually make a mistake. He's really far pushed up on a champion that doesn't have any mobility. And CG spend resources on, or actually they don't spend any resources beside ultimate. They spend ultimates on abusing that mistake. And now they get to push for free in several lanes. And they get to take free backs. So this is good by CG. It was very clean. We are pretty close to the end of the game, from what I understand. Yeah, this video is a lot longer than the game actually goes on. Because I was thinking in my head, I was like, at this point, I don't see this game going past 30 minutes if CG is the one that wins. Like if they don't throw at any point. It was good. Okay, so what did CG do to set this up? CG pushed in both side lanes. So now they know, they can see with their minions, they can see, okay, well they have 2 people in side lanes. And then they rotate onto mid lane, because they have people in side lanes. They don't actually know where Zac is, but they do know where Ashe is, and that's it. So they actually make an engage, because they have all of their resources in the same place, onto Bifrost, because you know Bifrost doesn't have any resources. And you actually see that Ashe had to flash away there. Okay, so that was an engage on the both of them. So Ashe loses flash, and Tahm Kench had nothing, so Tahm Kench dies, and they get mid tower for free. So this opens up the tier 2. So what you're going to see now is Clutch is going to, they're going to put vision in this zone, and then they're going to lock CLG using these pathways off of this top tower. And then they take the top tower for free while they keep split push bottom lane, or at least split pressure bottom lane. As long as the wave is pushed a decent amount, then Aatrox will probably be responding since Aatrox is behind anyway. Oh, there's also a fire dragon. I did not see that. That is definitely a next best move though. Okay. Very quietly take Fire Dragon for free. They're gonna do a full reset, and that's probably their next move. They're gonna take top tower, and then they don't really have to take tier 2 bottom tower in order to start pressuring Baron. You actually see CLG pressure Baron. This is odd. They definitely confused CG and made them make a mistake. Like I don't know what they're doing here. Okay, so like CLG, let's look at the state of the game. CLG has 2-item Ashe, a 2-item Syndra, a 1-item Zac and Aatrox, and they have Eat. That's it. That's not a champion. He just eats people. Versus an Alistar, a 2-item Aurelia, a 2-item Lissandra, a 2-item Jarvan, and a 2-item Rumble. So CLG say, okay, well, they're on the bottom side of the map, and we know that they're resetting. And because they're resetting, we think that we can take control of this area, and we might be able to get a pick. But if anything about a fight is like a full-on fight is going through CLG's head right now, they are wrong. They are actually being stupid. So CLG is able to get a pick. The problem is CLG funnels into this choke point thinking that they're going to win a fight when really they should just be disengaging. Like they can disengage with volley, the Ashe ult that will be up, and the Syndra stun in the zone. But they choose to funnel into that zone. Like Rumble ult does massive damage there. I'm surprised he didn't Rumble ult here. If he Rumble ulted here, it would just been massacre. But they did get a 4-man Aurelia ult. Like this is all set up for CG. They've moved into a choke point. Now they're in the jungle. They don't want to fight in the jungle. They want to fight out in the open. They want river fights and they want lane fights. These guys want jungle fights. And that's just very apparent by how the champions work. Like just think about you playing this champion. Like how many different people can you normally focus on? Okay, well if it's 1 or 2, and you're like a standard champion, then it's probably going to be lane fights and river fights. And if you're a champion that's lots of AoE and lots of engage, then you're probably going to be looking at scrappy jungle fights, and that's what you're seeing right now. You want to play in choke points. You want to beat the enemy up in a choke point. You know, you want to put them in a corner so that they can't run, and then beat them down with a baseball bat or something. So CLG just feeds CG the Baron play on a plate, and I don't think that was necessary. Like CLG has pretty good scaling. So it's not like, and they're not even at power spikes yet. Like Aatrox can be way stronger. Syndra is actually like a 3-item to 4-item mage. That's when her like highest power potential is. Like I mean, she goes up in the mid game, but she goes up and up and up, and then she kind of plateaus at like 5-item, 6-item. So I really like it's 4 or 5-item. I'm just not gonna count boots. Where 10 boots don't exist. So like 4 or 5 items, you're like plateauing at like a peak amazingness. But up until that point, you're growing, and I don't see why they would funnel into a choke point. Like that's basic fundamentals. That CLG should know about, and they're not even a bottom tier team. But then again, I would just watch the, side note, I just watched earlier the Vitality versus G2 game, and it was actually a mess. It was garbage. Like it looked cool, it was pretty, it was fun, but like in terms of like actual gameplay, it was garbage. But Cream of the crop. Doesn't really matter what region it is. So CLG say, okay, well, we're going to take the top tower for free. The bottom tower actually got taken for free. They're going to pull a 1-3-1 or whatever it is. They're going to rotate onto a side lane, and they're going to keep pressure in the opposite lane. They're going to say, okay, well, we're going to try and get all of your inhibitors, and we're going to do it really easily. They even showed it on the map for you. CLG says, well, we might want to try and make a Hail Mary play. That's a reference to like playing Madden. If anybody like has never understood why I said Hail Mary, it's a Madden reference. Like Hail Mary play, it's like an 80-yard pass that you'll probably miss. That you probably only do if you don't really have any good options. End of the game, no time left. Whatever. So yeah, CLG end up losing 2 inhibitors after making their Hail Mary. So CG just resets, spends their gold, comes bot and says, okay, we're gonna keep the other lanes pushed in, and now we're gonna take your bottom inhib, and then we're gonna strangle you with minions until you finally die. CLG probably should make another Hail Mary play before they get strangled to death by pressure. Maybe they can get a pick or something. Maybe not. Probably not, since I know CG wins here. Yes, very unfortunate. Clean game from CG. Really good play by Lyra. I'm impressed with Lyra's performance this game in the early. What else did I like? I think Huni didn't perform horribly on Rumble, but then again, they also drafted for him. Like, they actually specifically they banned 4 champions to pick Rumble. So if Huni performed badly, it would make Huni look horrible forever. Maybe not forever, but it would make Huni look really bad if they banned 4 champions for him to pick Rumble, and then he didn't make it work. You see that there's like just general macro, and like there are so many things that could be optimized for both teams here. So I won't complain about it forever, but it would change the game a lot if either team was doing what they should be doing or understanding what they want. But yeah, I think Lyra did really well. I think Demonte made the same early mistake that he always does. But he kind of hit it because he had an okay lane that he didn't really need to win. He just farmed, and that was it. And that was fine. So him losing his flash early didn't really mean a whole lot. Piglet and Vulcan did fine on their 2 champions that they've been doing really well on. Lyra on Jarvan, not bad. I mean, it's not hard to play. It's kind of brain dead, but it's really good in the meta right now. So I do like this comp from CG. Roaming unit, mid jungle, onto side lanes. Pressure. Sometimes capabilities for jungle support to converge onto mid lane. Not bad. So good game by Clutch. We'll see what happens next week. Like there is a lot to look forward to in terms of Clutch's performance and whether or not they can pull something through that actually means something this split. I mean, taking down 2 of the 3 top teams would definitely be strange. I don't know. There's a whole lot to look forward to. I think this will be an interesting weekend. You definitely see a game that they can win without a whole lot of struggle. Like in my opinion, like all of these teams lack a lot of macro play, like fundamentals. And then these 3 teams are really good early and mid, and then they just default into the NA RAM. Like it's a sickness of this region. Because they all play like neutral objective comps, neutral objective control and stuff like that. So they turn into the NA RAM, and then it's like useless. So I don't know, weird region, weird stuff. Let's see what happens. Thank you so much for watching. Leave comments here, leave them on the Clutch Reddit, do whatever you want. Subscribe for more, and at me on Twitter if you want anything. Have a good night.